Tonight, we begin a new chapter in our Making It in San Diego initiative. We're shining light on laws, fees, and actions that could be contributing to higher housing prices in San Diego.
Our attendance reporter John Horn leads off our first edition. He uncovered how a city fee on developers may be causing rents to rise the most on those who can afford it the least.
Yeah, and we often hear from developers how these delays, fees, regulations pile up. And the city uses these fees to pay for the impacts new residents make on public infrastructure and safety services. But a simple change in how the city calculates one of its biggest fees could give renters a much-needed break.
The brand new Continental apartment complex in Little Italy isn't like its upscale neighbors. It's made up of studios, some smaller than 400 square feet, and offers very little parking. That's why the starting rent is just $15.50 a month, about 35% below market for the area.
The rent is high in San Diego because of simple math, supply and demand.
Building architect Jonathan Siegel says costly approval delays and fees are contributing to the supply crunch. The Continental, no exception.
But I got to tell you, I just paid almost $1 million in fees.
Siegel is specifically perplexed by how the city charges what are called developer impact fees. They go to things like parks, fire, library, and transportation. The city charges as much as $17,000 per unit, depending on location, not size.
So let's say this large water bottle represents one big expensive unit. A developer could build it and only have to pay that city fee once. Or that same developer could take that same building and divide it into 4 apartments. But then he'd have to pay the city that fee 4 different times. And guess who's ultimately reimbursing him?
That would be the tenant in the form of higher rent. Now, there's a growing push at City Hall to change how the city calculates the impact fee. One option, do it by square foot, so building more smaller units won't increase costs on developers and ultimately renters.
If you were to do it by a square foot process, then a developer would come in and say, you know what, I can build 2 units at say 400,000 instead of 1 at 8.
Siegel says the change could give him more latitude to offer lower rents.
I may be able to reduce my rent because I want to be more aggressive and I want to get my product deployed.
He paid about $8,500 per unit in developer impact fees for the Continental in Little Italy, totaling about $350,000.
And the fees range from $1,500 per unit in San Pasqual to more than $17,000 per unit in Tierra Santa. A 2016 Housing Commission report said flat fees create disincentives for building smaller units. It says one solution to help bring more units would be to switch to a square foot based calculation.
All right, so the question is, where do we go from here?
Well, you know, the mayor knows about this. The city council does know about these issues. We're going to be bringing this potential solution to their attention. We'll be working that, try to get their comments and see what can happen next.
Hopefully we get those answers too.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you,
John.
John.